Hello, hello. Can everyone hear me? You can just add a emoji if you can. Oh, beautiful. All right, just giving some of the slow pokes some time to get on as usual. And here we can, get started. Tell me what's been new since you were last here, since we last met last month. What is coming up? Go ahead and just write that in the chat, or you can talk, whatever your heart desires. And okay, while we're waiting, go ahead. Oh, okay, perfect. And you're also on mute.
This is my first time, so I don't have anything to share. Sorry.
Beautiful. Welcome. And hi, Ivana. How are you doing? Good. All right, we'll get started and then we'll let everybody else come on as they like. All right, so we have about 30 people registered, which is the usual number. Usually we're between 30 and 50, but the majority of people actually watch this offline because it's in the middle of the day. So they watch it when they can. So we have this recorded and it'll be sent out to everybody as well, just so that in case you're at work or you're listening later on at night, it is being recorded. Even if no one shows up, I will still record it because I know there have been so many of you that keep telling me that you watch it even though it's not live. All right. So today we're going to talk about the 7 keys to increasing health span. All right. First, so last month we were doing, I issued people to do a challenge if they wanted a 30-day challenge because I was in the middle of doing a challenge myself. And the challenge I was doing was called 75 Hard. And it has been, or it is, one of the most difficult challenges that I've had to do. It involves diet, exercise, water, reading books, all things that are good for you. So that's not the part that's challenging. The challenging part is that if you mess up on one of the 5 tasks that they have for you in the day, then you start back at day 1. So if you eat out of your diet, if you didn't exercise, whatever the case may be, you start back at day 1. And so that, that's very hard. And so I got to day 70 of the challenge out of 75. And I decided to join the official Facebook group that they have because I wanted to connect with some like-minded people, see other people that were finishing the challenge because I was doing it on my own. So what I discovered when I joined was that I was doing one of the elements of the challenge incorrectly and had been doing it throughout the 70 days. So one of the tasks is that you have to drink a certain amount of water, which I did complete. However, I added electrolytes to my water after working out, and you weren't supposed to add anything to the water. And it's not that electrolytes are bad or anything. You are welcome to drink them. They just didn't count in the amount of water that you're supposed to drink. Now, some people were saying, oh, this is such a small thing. You can continue, and still count it as being finished. I, however, felt like I was punched in the gut. I almost cried because getting to day 70 was hard enough. And it seemed like starting again would be impossible. And I actually wanted to delete the Facebook group and pretend like I didn't see it. However, I had already seen it. So what happened then was what flashed before my eyes was integrity. And what I mean by that is there were different times where in my life I was not in alignment with who I was. So for example, when I was in, grade school, we had these reading exercises to do. If you finished the exercises, then you would be rewarded with free time. So the faster you finish the exercise, what I thought, the more time I would have, right? However, I used to do the reading and then get the answer key so that I could finish fast, so that I could have more reading time, right? So I didn't do the work that I was supposed to. And all these moments in my life came back of when I wasn't being integrative, or when I was focused more on getting to the destination than the process or the person that I was becoming along the way. So I see this pattern actually really often. People say to themselves, okay, once I get to this point, then I will feel whatever. I'll be happy once I finish high school. I'll be happy once I get a raise. I'll be happy once I find another job. I'll be happy once I heal. The thing is, if you're focusing on only the end goal, you miss everything that's happened. And the end goal is usually just a few moments. It doesn't last a long time, right? If you're focusing on finish the race, once you finish the race, you celebrate and that's it. Like a lot of people start looking for the next thing. So when are you actually enjoying the process if it's always about the destination? And I see this often in practice. I'll be healed. I'll be happy when I'm healed. All right. But what if it takes a long time for you to heal? How are you going to be before you're fully healed? Right. And so we want to find ourselves being aware of who we're becoming in the process. And this segments really well into today's topic about health span and lifespan. So first of all, health span refers to the length of time a person is able to live in good health and free from, right? And so that's the health span. Lifespan is how long you live. So you can have a long lifespan, but what is the quality of your life in your later years, right? And when we're talking about health span and lifespan, we don't want to focus on the end point, because the end point means that you're closer to leaving this earth or changing, whatever you believe in happens after you pass away. And we want to talk, although we want to keep our eye out on how to get the best out of the later years and put our focus on activities that can get us there, we want to ensure that we're enjoying right now in the present moment, because that's all we have. Nothing later is guaranteed, right? So going back to my story, what did I do? Because some people asked what happened with my challenge. So I continued I only had 5 more days to go. So I finished the 75 days the way I had been doing it, to honor the version of me who started out on the journey. So when I started out 75 days ago on my journey, I had a vision of myself finishing, how I would feel, what I would do, and just celebrating that version of me. And then I restarted over at day 1. I'm actually on day 4 right now. I restarted at day 1 to honor the next level of myself who's going to emerge through this experience and at this time. But this time, instead of focusing on the end goal on 75 days, it's to enjoy the journey. All right. So that was my little story of what's been happening, because some of you knew that I was doing this challenge and wanted to know how it's going. I'm starting all over again. If you happen to want to join me, you're by all means welcome. All right. So talking about health span and lifespan, genetics play a certain role, of course, right? However, more significantly, and in the bigger percentage of the population, it's the lifestyle factors that can help increase it. And we can't actually do too much about genetics, but we can do a lot about the lifestyle, right? So here, there's 7 keys we're going to talk about to increasing your health span. And the first one is, of course, diet, eating a healthy diet, right? A diet that are rich in whole foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, can provide the nutrients that you need to maintain a good health and prevent chronic illnesses or disease, right? When you're eating, the trick is, although everyone says, yes, I know that, eating vegetables is gonna be better off for me later on. How do you do that in the moment when you have pizza and donuts in front of you? What you need to train yourself to ask is what I'm eating going to add years to my life or take them away? Is this candy going to add years to my life, or chocolate bar going to add years to my life? Okay? And it does not mean that you don't enjoy anything or that you can never have pizza ever again in your life. The idea is to not make it a staple of your diet, right? Like Tim Hortons donuts, although you may love them, are obviously high in sugar, fat, all the things. They are not meant to be part of your everyday diet. People always ask, well, what diet should I be on? There's a lot of controversy about which diets are best. People like paleo, plant-based, whatever. There's going to be one that works for you in which your body feels really good, okay? We've had people on the plant-based diet before. We've had people on paleo diets, and they feel amazing. What we want to look at are what are some of the aspects that are in common, right, with the paleo diet and even plant-based. They're not actually complete opposites, right? They still encourage you to eat whole foods and to eat your plants and to have to cut down on highly processed foods, right? And all the sugar. So that's what you want to cut out. You want to cut out the processed foods and even the highly processed foods. If you're looking at the ingredients to something and it's 25, the list is super long and you don't even know how your food came to be, that's not a good sign, right? You want to look for short ingredients, for things that you understand when you are making diet choices, okay? And if you have any questions, you can always write them in the chat or send me an email if you're watching this later on about which diet might be good for you. And for your body type and for what you're trying to achieve, because you eat differently if you're trying to, let's say your goal is to lose weight or your goal is to put on lean muscle mass, or if, it depends what your goals are and what you need, right? All right, so the number one tool, or number two way to increase your health span is exercise, regular exercise, okay? And we hear a lot of people saying, oh, you can exercise 3 times a week or 2 times a week. I actually say you can increase that. And I don't mean exercise as in you have to be doing like these, go to the gym and pump out as much heavy weight as you can. I take exercise as movement, right? It's not gonna harm you to walk around and move your body on, maybe 6 days a week, 5 days, 6 days, even 7 days a week. Right? If your exercise is a walk, then you can do that every single day. And we're all saying within reason, right? But 2 days a week, you can up that if your body is ready for that, right? So we all know regular activity helps with your cardiovascular health, strengthens your bones and muscles, and improves your immune system, right? When we're getting older, what we're worried about is the cardiovascular health. We're worried about degeneration in the brain and neurodegenerative disease, right? And exercise helps with all of that, right? Also, as we grow older, we lose muscle mass, we lose bone mass, right? If you're young, if you're listening to this in your 20s and early 30s, it's a great idea to build up your muscle mass and bone density because later on you're going to start to lose it, right? However, if you're older and already worried, you need to take as much effort as you can to keep what you already have and what you've built up. As an aside, walking alone, a lot of people who tend to be older tell me that they walk all the time. Walking alone isn't going to get you to increase your bones and your muscular system. So it's great for cardiovascular health. So it's something that you should do. However, you do need to add in some muscle training, resistance exercise, weight training, whatever the case it is, to develop the bone strength, right? We all have heard of the person who in the winter, this has happened to me so many times, slip and fall and then break their hip and end up in the hospital and they can't recover from that. It's because they don't have the bone density, the muscle strength, all these things in order to recover, okay? If you don't move your joint, your body in a certain way, you start to lose the capacity to do it, all right? So one of the biggest ranges of motion we have is when we're born, right? You can see babies doing the splits, sucking on their toes, all the things which a lot of older people might not be able to do anymore, right? So as you age, you start to lose some of your range of motion, right? And we lose the ranges. Our body is really smart. We lose the ranges that we don't tend to use as often. So for example, if you're a baby and you can do the splits, wonderful. Usually by the time you're a child, if you have not practiced the splits, then you kind of lose that ability for that end range. You can still go further than most adults, but you lose that range. However, let's say someone puts you in gymnastics and you do the splits every day. You will keep that range because you need the range, right? And even into adulthood, if you are still practicing the splits, and then you can continue to have that range of motion because you are using it, right? The good news is, let's say you didn't do the splits every day. Let's say you're in the same situation as me and you can't do the splits. I don't think now I would be able to, but I can get better than I am right now, right? So with stretching, with training, with work, you can get back some of the range that you didn't have, right? You may or may not be able to get all the way into the splits, but you can certainly improve upon where you are right now, okay? So it's a good idea to move your different body parts around, like move your neck around, see, hey, am I able to get my full range of motion? Move your shoulders around, your hips. Where is it that I'm starting to feel either pain, creaking, limited mobility? All these are indications that you're starting to lose motion in there, okay? And that you might need to train for more motion if you would like. The third key involves managing stress. Our nervous systems were not designed to be in a chronic state of stress. Okay, so we have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. In the sympathetic nervous system, it's your fight, flight, freeze, and fawn response. And so what you're working on is, it is a system for when you go under stress, you have a certain response. And usually it's to run away from something, to freeze, or to fight something for your life, right? This is because you're in danger in some way and your body needs to get you out of that situation. And so this is designed for short periods of time. So let's say in the olden days, you were being chased by a bear, you'd find out within a short amount of time whether you survived or you didn't survive. And if you did survive, you'd go back, you'd sleep, and the next day, everything would be back to normal, okay? But right now, we're using that sympathetic system all day long. So you get emails and that causes you to react and stress you out. You get phone calls from your boss, the traffic is bad. All these things are activating your sympathetic nervous system when they're not supposed to be, right? And if you think about your sympathetic nervous system, let's say you were being chased by a bear. What are some of the things that would happen to your body, right? You would probably tense up your muscles if you were going to fight them, right? Your body shuts off blood to your digestive organs because it pumps that blood instead into your extremities, so into your legs and arms, so that you can run away. Because in that moment, if your life is in danger, you don't need to digest your food because that takes a lot of blood, right? Your blood pressure increases to get more blood flow to the rest of your body, right? You're more alert. You get cortisol and adrenaline running throughout your body, and that creates chemical reactions in all the cells in your body, right? Now, imagine this going on for long periods of time. Is it a wonder why people have digestive issues, have heart conditions, have increased high blood pressure, have all these muscle tension, right? A lot of people have one or all of these elements. They are in their sympathetic nervous system. This is as opposed to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is activated during the rest and the digestion phase, right? And so in stress, and it's not saying that stress can't be a good thing either. It is your perception of stress, right? If you perceive the email that your boss is sending you to be a threat against your life, then your body will react in a certain way, okay? Some stress can be good. Even exercise is a form of stress because you're breaking down, you're working your muscles by breaking them down and building them up stronger. Okay? So I'm not saying that all stress is bad. It's the way that we perceive it and how we manage it. And so long periods of chronic stress, we know increases chronic disease, your incidence or your chance of it, and it decreases your overall health span, right? So if you haven't started already, learning some tools and strategies such as meditation, yoga, deep breathing exercises, walking in nature, learn your body and see what helps you to reduce and improve stress, okay, or your overall well-being. Because the techniques aren't good for everybody, right? What someone might think yoga is nice for them and calming, and others are sweating profusely, are swearing, are quite upset when doing yoga. All right, so you got to find a technique or techniques that work best for you, right? And if you've tried the things, if you're trying meditation, journaling, yoga, and you're like, this is not working, then it's time to get some help, right? Seek additional help. You can come in here, get your nervous system checked. You can see one of our naturopaths to help give you some supplements, whatever the case is. If you notice that your shoulders are constantly near your ears, that your heart rate, your blood pressure, all the things are up, and you've tried to relax, and it hasn't worked, then seek additional help. Because left unchecked, we know that chronic stress leads to a decrease in health span. All right. The next key, number 4, is around sleep. Okay. Getting adequate sleep is essential for good health because it helps with your memory, your mood, cognitive function. I will say that not everybody, there is a range of what people need in terms of sleep. We say in healthcare to aim for about 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. There are people who can function on less. However, we're talking about longevity and on health span, and we want to increase that. Then you do need a certain amount of sleep because that's when your body repairs itself. Okay. If you want to know how you're sleeping, you can also try a sleep study. You can also, a lot of people wear wearables, right? They have these smart watches or the Aura ring, or I think there's something called Whoop, and they help you track your sleep. Even your iPhone does it, but I don't recommend sleeping with your iPhone. And it will tell you, okay, how much REM sleep did you get? And again, it's just a rough estimate, but it tells you some information, and it's better than having no information, all right? If you're not getting the deep quality sleep, then then you're missing out on an aspect of your healing. And the quicker and faster you can heal, the more increased chance you have of living a longer life, all right? And again, that's not to say that there aren't periods in your life where you're going to have less sleep, right? Like if you have a newborn baby, you're up 4 to 5 times a night, and you're not going to get good long periods of sleep. And that's just part of life. However, generally, if you're not going through one of those periods, it shouldn't be years and years and years of not getting a good night's sleep. Okay. Number 5 is to avoid smoking, of course, that is a no-brainer, and excessive alcohol consumption, right? We know that smoking, even outside today, right, there's a lot of, well, here in Ottawa, some of us are joined from the United States, but here in Ontario, we're having these forest fires currently, and it's making it really smoggy outside, and people are having difficulty breathing. People with asthma are really having a tough time. On top of it, there's a lot of allergies here from outside, and that's making for an unpleasant situation for a lot of people. Anyway, smoking, decreases your lung capacity, has a lot of toxins for the rest of your body, and overall, it decreases your health span, right? So if you are smoking, find a way to quit smoking and then limit your alcohol consumption to low, I would say, to moderate levels. Okay, moderate would even be high for me if you're looking at increasing health span. Number 6 is maintaining a healthy weight, right? Because obesity is a risk factor for many chronic diseases, such as diabetes, heart disease, certain types of cancer. The longer that you live, the more chances you have that it increases your chances of potentially coming down with a long-term chronic illness, which would decrease your health span, right? And so maintaining a healthy weight can be done, as we know, through diet, through exercise, and also it could be a hormonal issue too, right? It could be hormones, depending on what age you are. If you're going through menopause, hormones, stress as well can keep excess weight on. One of the things that we like to say here is it's not what you're eating. If you've done all the work for your food and you're eating a clean, healthy diet, then it's not what you're eating, it's what's eating you. So there are emotional factors. Sorry, I have an itchy nose. Itches. There are some emotional factors, trauma from the past, other emotional aspects that could cause you to keep your weight as well. So if you've tried the diet, if you tried exercise, and those are fairly good, you've had your hormone levels checked, then you also want to take a look at the emotional component of weight, right? And that would delve into different aspects of, like I said, from the past, trauma from childhood, self-worth, what it is that you think about yourself and your ability to feel loved, a whole can of worms. So again, weight is just not about the exercise and diet. Okay, there are other components to it also. And then finally, key number 7 is to have social connection, right? It is so important to have a community with you that you can talk to, you can get together with. The social connections improve mental health and reduce stress and can sometimes even combat some of the things that you've been doing. Okay, I can't remember what study it was, but they were looking at Italians, a group of Italians, because some of them, the group that they looked at, they would still have a good health span and live a longer life, even though they might be doing things like drinking and smoking. And one of the reasons that they thought that this might occur is because if you've ever seen Italian families, they tend to, like, they can get emotional, they can get angry, they can show their emotions, like they express everything out loud and to each other. And so, and they're also really connected and family oriented. So having a good community, it was found that you can actually overcome some of the other health factors as long as you feel like you are loved, you belong, and you are connected, right? Back in caveman days, when you had little tribes, if you did something that was against, let's say, the tribe rules, what they would do is they would put you outside the tribe, excommunicate you, and then that would be normally your death. Okay, because you needed family and you needed tribe to get along. Okay, so they would put you outside of that. Over the past few years, because of COVID, we've been, scared to meet our family, scared to see our friends because of what we've been told. However, that's also had an increase in mental health issues and other things that we've been seeing in the office related to health. So it is really important that you get a community. It doesn't have to be in person, it can be online, but just people that can support you and that understand what you are going through. And also, you can, if you don't have one, that's one of the reasons why we do these monthly workshops and meetups, is because people see each other on a monthly basis. And then some people start talking to each other and then they form connections. I think in our office, There was talk about doing some in-person meetings once again as well. So maybe look for that in September or in the fall. But I personally like doing them online just because, as some of you know, my kids are young, and it makes it easier for me to do, especially during the day and online, because I can record it for everybody. All right. So in conclusion, increasing your health span requires like a combination of healthy lifestyle choices. And they're not things that you haven't heard before. The idea is, how do you get them into your nervous system, right? And that is, you know, diet, exercise, stress management, sleep, healthy weight. How do you do all of that? Well, you need to first make a commitment that that is your goal, right? If you don't commit, then nothing gets started, and you have to plan it out. So part of the challenge that I was doing, again, involved all these elements. That's why I wanted to put it together, because as you get older, you stop shifting from, okay, does my, you know, why am I trying to lose weight or exercise or be in a healthy weight range, to what activities can I do that will bring me a better health span, right? And once you have that down, figure out what activities you need, and then you have to do them. There's no one else can do them for you. All right. Anyone have any questions about that? If you'd like to take yourself off mute, or you can write your questions in the chat, you can. Otherwise, you can send it to me in email form if that works better for you. Okay. And then finally, our next workshop is going to be on Tuesday. It's about a month from now. So Tuesday, July the, let me check for you. Tuesday, July the 11th at 1 p.m. It's going to be online again. I will be recording it so that you have access to it. We are going to talk about lessons learned from failure. And why is that? It's because we don't learn our lessons when we've reached our goal. Like, it's not at the top of the hill or the top of the mountain that you learn your lessons. It's whenever you fall or fail. That fall from grace is where the lessons are learned. So we're going to talk about different lessons that have been learned through failing. So it's never actually a fail, it's a learn. All right. So thank you so much for coming today, and look for an email within the next day or so of the recording. And then, oh, Ivana sent me your commitments. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Good job. And then we will see you in a month, if not sooner, if you come to the office. All right. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye.